since 1966.
This is NBC4's News Conference with Conan Nolan, Southern California's longest-running public affairs program.
On this edition of News Conference, from a crisis in health to one of work, business, and the institutions of government. With tax revenue falling, the state is now facing a staggering $54 billion deficit, which potentially means cuts in public social services and education. We talk with State Senator Holly Mitchell, chair of the Senate Budget Committee. The business community is telling the governor and the legislature that to restart the economy, businesses need a break, a pause in the minimum wage hike, a repeal of the law requiring companies to hire employees as opposed to making them independent contractors. We talk with Maria Salinas of the LA Chamber and Robert Lapsley of the California Business Roundtable. The restaurant industry is collapsing. What can be done to save it? And what will dining look like once people are allowed to sit down at a table? We talk with Jod Condi, president of the California Restaurant Association. And there is politics still taking place, a special congressional election this week for the seat once occupied by Katie Hill. We talk with Dan Schnur of USC and Cal Berkeley and Jessica Levinson of Loyola Law School. Good morning and welcome to the Tom Brokaw News Center here at Universal City. I'm Conan Nolan. Again, we hope you are well and staying safer at home as we slowly start to emerge from the isolation that has been the hallmark of this oh-so-costly global pandemic. First up, State Senator Holly Mitchell, Democrat of Los Angeles and chair of the Senate Budget Committee, which is now grappling with a jaw-dropping $54 billion budget shortfall announced this past week. So, Senator, Governor Newsom has said the federal government needs to help out, bail out the state, but if that doesn't happen, should people be prepared for cuts to programs, teacher furloughs, cuts to health care and the like?
There is no question, Conan, we have grips about what that number really is. The federal government has stepped up in a significant way in terms of providing support to states and local government. Case in point, FEMA has provided us a 75-25% match on all of our expenses, our COVID-related expenses we've had so far. The state expects to spend $7 billion on COVID-related costs. 75% of that will be matched by the federal government. And so through support from the federal government, through potential reductions that will be strategic and smart and not on the backs of people who are suffering, both health in terms of their health and economically, and ways in which we can shift costs. Those are all ways in which we will approach this problem and come out on the other side with a budget that will do as little harm as we possibly can afford.
In a moment, we're going to hear from the Chamber of Commerce and the California Business Roundtable. They're saying to get the economy moving, the legislature needs to help out business. Freeze regulations for businesses, freeze the minimum wage hike.
Conan, I look forward to the debate once we get back into session and the Senate and the Assembly Budget Committees come together. We are going to do what's in the best interest of working Californians. We are all experiencing a historic economic and public health pandemic. The legislature stepped up to the plate in past recessions and levied very hard cuts on California. As an early Assembly member, I voted on budgets that cut deeply into programs that I've spent my entire political career working on behalf of. So we are capable of doing the hard work. What we're going to do is what's in the best interest of all of California, both economically and in terms of our collective public health.
The governor has said the Trump administration has given the state just about everything we've asked for. Do you share that assessment?
Absolutely. The managed care, the MCO tax, we had that waiver sitting on the desk at the federal level for several months. In fact, in the governor's January budget proposal, he didn't factor in the MCO tax, and it was recently granted. So between the 75% 25 match from FEMA, the MCO tax allocation, we have received wonderful support from the federal government, and we fully hope and intend that it will continue.
State Senator Holly Mitchell, chair of the Senate Budget Committee, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you so much for your participation, for inviting me today.
Joining us now is Maria Salinas, the president and CEO of the LA Area Chamber of Commerce. So Senator Mitchell just a moment ago says she's looking forward to the debate on what to do to restart the economy and refill the state treasury. Other business groups have said it will require a different attitude from the legislature. Do you agree?
We definitely believe it cannot be business as usual. We believe that businesses need to have the maximum flexibility post these emergency orders in order for businesses to be able to adapt to a new economy. We know that it's going to look differently. And to a large extent, we don't even know what that means right now. So to the extent that we can remove barriers through removing regulation or postponing regulation that's supposed to come into play, all those things should be considered, because all those things go to where do we want businesses to focus? We want them to focus on opening their doors, making sure that their employees are safe, making sure that their customers are safe. We don't want them to have to focus their energies on trying to figure out regulation.
So there's the slow reopening for some non-essential businesses started on Friday. What is your membership saying about the guidelines they're getting?
What we're hearing from our businesses is that they're inundated with information, that there's state information, county, local government information that they have to manage through. And to be able to open up, one of the things that's important for businesses is to have a clear directive on what do they need to have in place in order to open up their businesses in a safe manner. Employers are always looking after their employees. They're a huge investment and one of the most important assets. And so that's important to make sure that they are aware of what type of guidance they need to have in place in their places of employment to ensure their employees are safe, but that their customers are safe as well.
Washington came through with a payroll protection plan, but some groups have said it's completely uneven. Why?
Conan, what we need to be aware of is that there's a variety of type of small businesses. There are those that are very established and have relationships with banks and lawyers and accountants, and they can go through that process in a very easy manner. But we know that in Los Angeles, we have a very dynamic economy of mom and pops, immigrant businesses. If they don't have the sophistication to get through an application process, they're being left out. We have advocated with our federal elected officials to ensure that more is done so that all members of our economy, all business types, can reap the benefit of relief.
Maria Salinas, President and CEO of the Greater Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce, thank you for taking the time, and stay well.
You too. Thank you so much, Conan. Appreciate it. Thank you.
So what are restaurants going to look like once they're about to open? We talk with the California Restaurant Association next.